Hello everyone and welcome back to a new video. It's Bato here, and I've got to say, I've finally dropped my bike. After having my brand new CFMOTO for about 2 to 3 months now, I have finally dropped it. And we will dig deeper into that in this video, and I'll explain what is happening next and where do we go from here. As always, thank you guys for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video. I'm so grateful for the amount of minimal damage that was made on this bike when it was dropped. I was expecting it to be way worse than what it was when I finally picked it up, but I think where I dropped it honestly saved it from being severely damaged, and honestly this had to happen at some point. I knew the day was coming when I would drop it. I'm thankful for the people that were there that immediately helped me out to pick the bike up, as I really couldn't because the bike was on top of my leg. I couldn't move it at all. First thing that was gone when the bike was dropped was my clutch lever. Thankfully it didn't completely snap off and it was still usable as I was about an hour 40 from where I live. The bar end did get scratched up and damaged, but not very badly. I'm just glad that I was able to still use my clutch to be able to go home, because I really didn't want to be stuck down there or have to rely on someone to come and help out. It's damage to my red side fairing, but it's not much of a big deal. Thankfully the parts are easily accessible and I can order them quickly to replace, and this wasn't really a big deal. It was just a minor scratch, really. This was probably the most recognizable damage on the bike, being my stator cover. This was as clear as day, and I'm pretty sure this is where most of the impact must have went. But yet again, I can easily order this part to replace. I was told ages ago that you could just sand it down and just be done with it, but with seeing how much a brand new one was, it was just easier to replace the part. I didn't really see it in this video, but it was definitely the most standout part, I'd say. I'm just glad that it's plastic and not something very expensive. And yet again, it wasn't much of a big deal because you really only noticed it if you were basically staring at it. So what happens next? Well, I have already ordered the parts from a CFMOTO seller, including the stator cover, red side fairings, the bar end, and aftermarket shoulder levers. Because why not? They were long as anyway, so having a shorter brake and clutch lever will probably benefit me as well as getting it adjusted to how I want. So the real question is, how did I drop it? Funny story actually, I was at a lookout point and we were heading down a pretty steep hill to park our bikes. I didn't really initially like the idea of it because we were parking on the steepest part of the hill, and I did manage to get the side stand down and safely get off my bike. What happened was, as soon as I took my gear off and turned around, there was a family and some kids who were asking me if I could rev my bike. So I initially got back on my bike, started up and gave them a few revs. And they were happy with that. They were laughing, they were having a great time. But as soon as I kicked my side stand out and felt it hit the ground, something happened. The side stand must have not been all the way down, and I felt the bike tipping over and the bike fell on top of me and straight onto my leg. Did I get hurt and am I okay? Thankfully I'm doing okay since it happened. I will say my leg did feel a bit sore and swollen, but other than that, it was all just time and recovery from it. Even though I only dropped my bike, I still felt my adrenaline up and my hands were shaking when I was trying to ride back. When I got back, I just took a couple of minutes to breathe and try and get my focus back so I was in the right mindset to be able to ride again. What can I say for people who want to minimize this damage? Definitely invest in some frame sliders for sure. This will happen to you at some point, and I'm just helping you out so you can minimize the damage of your own bike. I said this ages ago that I've never dropped, scratched, or been in an accident on my bike, but it did happen. So if you're watching this, make sure you see if frame sliders are available for your bike. They are affordable and will save having to replace multiple parts like I had to. What's something I learned from this? I really think this is definitely drilled into my brain that I need to make sure that my bike is 100% on the ground at all times. I need to make sure that it won't move and that the side stand is in place. But also, if you're watching this, please don't be like me and park on a really steep hill. If you can find a place that's flat to park your bike, just do that. Even if it's a 5-10 minute walk from where you want to be, I'd rather ensure my bike is safely on its side stand. As this video comes to an end, I want to say a huge thank you to everyone who's been supporting me. Especially if you've come from TikTok, Instagram, or even my supporters who are in my Discord. I couldn't be thankful enough for the people standing with me and believing in me. and that I could do great. Also, yes, I did just put 95 in my bike because I think putting 98 octane in a bike that's not really a racing bike or 1000cc, if you understand me. Also, have you seen the fuel prices lately, man? God damn. Anyway, this is probably the first YouTube video where I have sat down and genuinely thought about how I could make my videos better for you. At this current stage, I am still learning and understanding a lot of things about social media, especially across different platforms. What advice could I give to someone starting out? Hey look, if you want to become a content creator, all I'm going to say is that it's not easy. The learning curve is massive. There are so many things that you think, oh, that'd be easy, when it really isn't, but I genuinely enjoy doing content creation, and so should you. I understand that you want to be seen, you want to be noticed, but everything takes time, and if you stick with it, you will genuinely get there. And if you're making something to put out to the world, you should be happy and proud of believing in yourself. Yes, you can be discouraged if the video didn't perform, or it didn't do as good as you think, but it's just a sign to improve and change things up a little, you know? To all the people who are trying their best, and to the people who are consistent, you're doing great. Don't give up yet. I hope my video gave you some insight and some advice on what's been happening lately. If this video helped you out, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. I appreciate everyone who has been here through the very start, and welcome all the new people who have subscribed recently. I'm happy that I get to do something I enjoy and provide something from my experience to you. Hope you have a good rest of your morning / day or night, wherever you are in the world. This has been Bado. I'll see you in the next video.